If you've been looking for your first record player, but you don't know what to get, today we're going to check out the U-Turn Orbit Basic Generation 2, which has everything you need to get started. So although the Basic has been around for a while now, this model in particular is the newest and second generation of the turntable, which has a few upgrades over the original, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, full disclosure, U-Turn did send this to me for a review. However, all of my thoughts and opinions about it are my own. Also, they have not seen this video before it was posted. So with all that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so here's everything that's included inside the box. First off, we get a nice little note thanking us for getting the turntable. Next, we have the RCA cables, the power cord, the rubber belt, since this is a belt drive record player, the manual, which tells you how to set everything up, a uturnaudio sticker, a Q-up lever. This one's an optional add-on to your order, but it will make your life a lot easier once you start using it. Next up, of course, we have the turntable itself. As you can see, the color is white. However, they do have other finishes available, including green, black, blue, red, solid oak, and solid walnut. Now, as a side note, the turntable does not come with a 45 RPM adapter or a bubble level, which is interesting. But since both of these items are easy to find online and are not that much, this isn't really a deal breaker, but it is something I thought I should mention. Now moving on, we have the platter, which goes right on top of the plinth, like so. And last of all, we have both the felt mat and of course, the dust cover. So as we just saw, this is a belt drive record player with an optional built-in preamp, and it spins at both 33 and 45 RPM speeds. So that is going to allow you to play both the standard 12-inch vinyl record albums, as well as those smaller 7-inch singles. Now, one of the most important features of this turntable is the fact that the Audio-Technica AT91B cartridge, or record needle, comes pre-aligned and calibrated right out of the box, which is very convenient. Honestly, aligning the cartridge is the most frustrating part of the whole setup process. So the fact that uturnaudio does that for you at the factory and you don't need to worry about doing it yourself is awesome, because it means that you can spend more time playing your records and less time fussing with the little tiny screws on the tone arm with a little tiny screwdriver. Ain't nobody got time for that. Now moving on, this is also a fully manual turntable that does not have an auto stop function, meaning that you're going to have to lower the needle yourself, play that entire side of the record, and then once it's done, you will also need to raise the needle and return it back to the tone arm rest. So basically what I'm saying is that if you're not paying close attention to this record player, or you happen to fall asleep because it's late at night and you're tired, it'll just keep spinning all night long, damaging your record needle, which would not be fun. So, just keep that in mind. Now, the Orbit Basic also does not have Bluetooth or a USB connection or an acrylic platter or any other bells and whistles. Basically, this is a no-nonsense, fully manual and fully analog beginner's turntable. And, when you're just getting started, sometimes simple is better. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the second generation and the newest version of the Orbit Basic, which has two improvements over the original. First, the platter now has a channeled out groove for the rubber belt, which will help keep the speeds of this turntable consistent. And second, the tone arm on this model has the new Orbit Arm 3, which is made from one solid piece of magnesium, which is designed to give you a better sound. And as a side note, the tone arm also has internal anti-skate built right into the base and a counterweight on the back, which will help the needle track the grooves of all your records perfectly, which is great. Now the biggest question of all, of course, is how does it sound? Well, the short answer to that is really good. Overall, the turntable has a clear and accurate sound. The belt, motor, and platter all work well together and are completely stable, and everything is 100% in sync at both 33 and 45 RPM speeds. In my listening tests, the music didn't play too fast or too slow. It was spot on every time. Also, the Audio-Technica AT91B has a decent dynamic range for an entry-level cartridge, and in conjunction with the tone arm and the anti-skate system, it did track all the grooves of my records perfectly, just as it was supposed to. And last of all, I also tested it using both the built-in preamp and my separate external tube preamp, and both sounded great. There was absolutely no hint of distortion or low volume or grounding issues like a buzzing or a humming sound, so yet again, everything sounded good. So overall, the U-Turn Orbit Basic Gen 2 is a solid beginner's turntable that I highly recommend because it sounds good and looks good doing it. So if you want to check it out for yourself, I'll drop the link to it in the video description down below. Alright, now before we go, today's song of the day is Shape of My Heart by Sting. I love this song, and they play it at the end of that movie, The Professional. It's awesome. Now, if you have a suggestion for a song of the day as well, post in the comments down below, and you might see it in a future video. Okay, now what do you think about the U-Turn Orbit Basic Gen 2? And also, what was your first turntable? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you love playing records as much as I do and want to learn more about this fun hobby, then feel free to subscribe and hit the little bell notifications right down there so you won't miss out on the new videos. And most importantly of all, have an awesome day, stay safe, and keep spinning that vinyl.